Hello, it's your boy Dushapo here. Welcome to SDPD 1 in 20 SDPD stands for Software Design and Program Development. And this is one of the modules that we will learn in GMIT, Software Development. And it is a 20 credit course. That's why the video is 20 minutes. And it lasted for 1 whole year. Yeah, it's not like a semester module, it's a whole year module. There are 2 parts for this module, as you see in the title there, SDPD 1. First part is the entirety of year 1, as I mentioned, and the second part is the first semester of year 2. So you're gonna learn a bunch more stuff, like I would say, here's what I think, because I'm not in the year yet. You might do some error handling, some like hash maps or something, I don't know. But you will learn more. Oh yeah, inheritance and polymorphism, I think, in the second part of the first semester. The first semester of year 2. God, my words. So let's go to my assessment for my year. Obviously, so since it's online, it is very limited. There are 4 lab exams and 5 MCQs. The 4 lab exams, 15% would be for 2 of them, and 20% would be for the other 2. And it's basically creating a program with specifications in the document. They will not walk through the thing, but just give you like, okay, here's what the program should be. Yeah, like create a method that produces that. Create like a constructor to do something like that. That is like what the exam is. The first exam is basically just basics. Input, conditional statements, while loops. And I say while loops because there's no for loops for this. The second exam will cover the more GUI side, J option pane, code to be covered like later on in the video, for loops, write to file, and everything before that. So basically that's an exam 1 content. Exam 3, which is 20%, the previous 2 was 15%. For my year, exam 3, it is methods, classes, and objects, and everything else before as well. And exam 4 is just everything you learn, including like arrays, static methods, static fields, and 2-string methods, something like that. So that's lab exams. There are 5 MCQs, as I mentioned, or maybe I didn't mention. 5 MCQs, and they are just simple multiple choice questions. You need to know like the concepts of everything, and yeah, they are worth 7.5% each. And if you add them all up, you will see that there's like an excess of 7.5%. The MCQs for my year are chosen by the best 4 scoring MCQs. So that means they will take your top 4 best scoring MCQs and just do that. Put that as your grade. And that is that. The MCQs, I'm not going to mention the content because they vary a lot. Yeah, in my years and such. But I will tell you when the lab exams will be, like approximation, not MCQ though. That's what's the content. So let's start with the content. There's a lot to go through, not like essential maths, there's a lot. Week 1, we're gonna start with a simple hello world program. You know, the first program that programmers made. Yeah, the hello world. So yeah, you will learn the print statements, you will learn escape characters, and just simple printing, outputting to the console in general. And it's just getting used to Java a bit. So you see something like that. Yeah, public class, public static void main. Don't get overwhelmed. You will know how you know all those things like later on in the year. And then yeah, the system.out.print. Yeah, there's also like print and printf, but later on, you will know when you are in GMIT or you just self-study. Then move on to week 2. Week 2 is basically variables and data types. So you learn like how to create a variable, yeah, as well as just introduce to data types for that variable. So it could be an int, it could be a double, it could be a string, it could be boolean, anything that Java has to offer. And we also like cover the usage of them and the sizes as well. So byte is smaller than like int or long or something like that. Yeah, and by the way, variables stores your data. Key point. I forgot to mention. As well as that, when it comes to variables and things, you will also learn arithmetic operations on your program. So plus, minus, subtract, multiply, modulus, which is just the remainder thing. You will also learn modulus in like essential maths, so everything will be fine. It is a very simple topic to approach, so don't try to get overwhelmed. Yeah. And there's also specifications for your variables as well, the camel casing. Yeah. Now we move on to week 3. So week 3 is about user input. So we know about all the output already. Now let's talk about input a bit. Input is basically, when it comes to Java, you will need to import a scanner class. And this is where you can create a scanner object, which also the object thing to be covered later. And the scanner object will assist you with user input, like next line, next int, something like that, and just take user's input from the console itself. Then move on to week 4. Week 4 is conditional statements, and if, else statements, and just indicating if a condition is specified or not, and if it met that condition, it will run the block of code that is inside it. And this is very important part of programming in general. And just to let you know, please don't do what Yandere Dev did, the else ifs. Please, there's another way to handle that. And also, you will learn relational operators as well, something like more than, less than, more than or equal to. You'll learn that to assist you with condition statements in that particular thing. Then move on to week 5. Week 5 is logical operators and or whatever to help combine the Boolean variables together, to use in the conditions. You are also going to be introduced to switch statements, which are basically a conditional statement that checks the value and lead to a match case. It is a better way to do the else ifs. Just to let you know that. And then we move on to week 6. Week 6 is just while loops, and while loops are loop that executes when the condition stated above the code block is true. So if it's true, it runs the entire code block. You will also need to have some sort of way to change that condition alone, so that you don't end up with an endless loop in general. One way to do it is by incrementing and decrementing the variables, which is also a part of that week content. And there's also another while loop called the do while loop, and the do while loop is a post-test loop, so it means it will run the code block at least once, and just to test the condition after all the code block is ran. Then we'll move to week 7. Week 7 is just random numbers. Random numbers is just simply give out random numbers using the random class in the Java package, as I said. And both the scanner class that I mentioned and the random class has to be imported. There's also another way like math.random, but that will generate like 0 to 1, and you need to just assign like time, multiply it and floor it and whatever, just complicated stuff. And that random class can be used for randomizers, dice rolls, and even Minecraft Piglin traits. And that's for lab exam 1. I went to random numbers. Then we move on to week 8. Week 8 is for loops. For loops is just handling all the condition checks, the thing that you would do like multiple lines in the while loop. Those things will be all into one headline or just one heading. Like the initialization, the check, and the increment. It's all in one line. It's very simple. Something like this. Something like this. And it's the same principle as while loop, so it will execute, it will run multiple times, and then it will stop when it matches the condition. However, endless loops could be possible as well, so be careful of that. Next, we move on to JOption pane. JOption pane is the introduction for you to use GUI methods when it comes to Java, And JOption pane is another package to consider, so you need to import it using JavaX something like that. I can't remember the exact thing. And it will produce like a user dialog, which also you can use HTML on that. And from them, when you're using like, for example, Minecraft players, if you install like Optifine, the thing that you see That's like J option pane right there. And it could be either a message, options, input, and many more. Yeah, and that's J option pane for you. Yeah, it's a very useful tool indeed. Then move on to week 10. Week 10 is simply writing to file. Writing the file into a text file, that's what I'll say, using the IO package in Java. Yeah, you can create your own file and just run to it. That's the basic principle of that. Using print writer, and you may also use file writer if you want to append. So basically what I'm saying is that print writer, it will delete the whole content and just create a brand new one. When it comes to file writer or F writer, you can use it in conjunction with print writer to append the file instead of just replacing all of the content in it. Yeah, then it will be useful for like doing JSON files or just whatever files that requires you to read data from the file. So save and quit features and something like that. Very useful. And then that's that, and that's lab exam 2. Lab exam 2 is basically the whole semester. Then we move on to semester 2. So this is after Christmas in general. So the first week is the continuation of the writing to file thing. So it's just reading from file. Yeah, and with the file class, not the file with like a capital letter. With that, used in conjunction with the scanner class. Yeah, and the scanner class will just read the files through and just yeah. And it will read all the lines that you created, so you could do the next line and just read, next line read, and next line read. And the file must be there in order for this to work. And by the way, for the IO things, you need to throw an exception as well. The file there, yeah, if there's none of them, it will give out an error. Yeah, I think like multiple people will contact me like when it comes to help struggle with that a bit. Then week 2, we're gonna step back a bit from the input and output, and we're gonna discover the world of methods. Take this back again for the Hello World class. The main method there is what we're gonna cover. You can create multiple methods, something like that, in your class, I would say. And when it's called, it will execute. So there are 2 types of them. There's the void method, which returns absolutely nothing, and a value return method, which returns a value based on the data type that you indicated in the header of the method. So if you put like public static int, something like that, then the return type must be int, or else it will give an error. Yeah, Java is a hard-coded language, I would say, and you need to specify the data types explicitly, not like JavaScript. Yeah, and yeah, you can also pass in arguments into the parameters specifying the method in order to use those data that is passed into the method for various other ways. And you will practice a lot of this, don't worry. You will practice a lot of methods and you will get used to it like in 2-3 weeks in general. Yeah, so don't worry on that. And there's also resources online that you can just look. Yeah. Then move on to classes and objects. So take back that printing again. Yeah, the first line. Yeah, that's what you're gonna create more. So basically, classes are just separate files. So one class, one file, another class, one file, something like that. It is basically used to have one part of the program dedicated to just one thing, rather than having like a jumble of code, hundreds and thousands of code that can be just put into like another class. Yeah, having that instead. Yeah, like multiple classes. And this is object-oriented programming in general. Yeah, it's very basic though, because there's no like inheritance, the child classes, the parent classes, none of that yet. And you will learn also how to create an object as well. So the scanner class, the freaking random class, something like that. Yeah, when you initialize it, you will initialize the object itself. Yeah, so you will learn how to create an object and initialize them, and you know how to initialize them. Yeah, remember, object is different than class. Yeah, object is the one that you create and need to use in the program and store in the memory. The class On the other hand, it's not in the memory if not declared. You've also learned things like instant variables and methods when you do classes. Yeah, and those methods and variables are exclusive to the class or the object itself. Yeah, and you will also learn like constructors and anything else, and you will practice a lot on this, so don't worry about you lagging behind. It is all grand. Now we move on to week 7. Week 7 are basically introducing you to arrays. Yeah, we're gonna take a break from those classes, objects, and methods in order for the arrays thing. Now arrays, basically, you store multiple values in a single variable. It allows you that. So for example, if you want to store 69 and 420, pretty nice numbers, huh? 69 and 420 in one single variable, you create an array size of 2 to store those stuff, and the size cannot be changed. Yeah, you will learn something like array list that can be changed. So yeah, array list, am I right? And yeah, there are plenty of things that you could do. You can do a while loop on it. You can store like keys and data, whatever. When you learn more in like year 2, year 3, yeah, you will learn more in that. Yeah, and arrays are basically one of the fundamentals when it comes to program development in general. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this thing. There's more other than arrays. So in week 9, you're gonna learn learning from files with arrays, which involves like looping through the files and many other things to use in combination with those two concepts that you learn. And you're gonna also go through 2D arrays as well in week 9, so which is just array insert an array, and just think about it as like rows and columns principle, like matrices that you saw in my previous video on essential maths. Yeah, it will be very useful on that sense. So yeah, week 9, file with arrays, and then 2D arrays, so you will learn all of that. Yeah, I forgot to include this during the recording. So yeah, and then move on to our last week, unfortunately. Yeah, and it's already a lot. So week 11, we're gonna be introduced with static fields and methods. Static fields and methods are indicated outside of an object. So that means if you declare an object, that thing, the static fields and method do not come with the thing. Yeah, so they're just separate entities. But they still exist in like a memory on some sort, but you need to call it with the class name itself. And it can be called even without declaring like an object. Yeah, so you could run like class name dot method in thing if you don't declare an object. And you're gonna also cover the toString method. Yeah, toString method is a special method in the classes, and it will print out the output that you want. Yeah, and when you pass in the variable names of the object or it's just something like that, then it will give out the value in the toString method. Or else, if you don't declare a toString method, it will indicate the address of the object itself, the memory. And that is all for STPD, yeah, or Java module. Yeah, there will be Java module 2, so in the second year, so be sure to stick around next year for that video, or like near Christmas or something, I don't know. Okay, I'll see you then, bye bye. And oh, by the way, tips: stay on track, everything will be fine, and happy programming, study a lot. Bye for now, bye bye.